All right, my old employer did it again. Beasley Media ends up cutting good buddy Tyrone Johnson. Tyrone hosted the best show ever. He was Mike Missinelli's producer for a while. And boy, do I have some thoughts. Now, I'm not going to give you all my thoughts. I'm cool with like setting a bridge on fire, but not necessarily torching it. I know some people might be like, that's ironic because the bridge is already burned up, Chief. That's fine. When I found out that Tyrone got let go, and it's about a year since I got let go, I put a tweet out that said, when do the bosses start looking inward? When do these overpriced, overpaid, overrated bosses start looking inward and go, maybe it's me? I want to clear some things up with that. I was not talking about the head boss of Beasley, Philadelphia, Paul Blake. I was strictly talking about the people whose last name is Beasley. If your last name is Beasley, you have no idea what you're doing. And it is obvious to every employee of Beasley. You have to understand, if you work in that building, these people are hated. Because they make the kids from Succession look like they are Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs, and Mark Cuban all rolled up into one. And if you watch Succession, you know those kids didn't have a damn clue what they're doing. And that's basically Beasley. It's run by Caroline Beasley, and her brother, who have basically taken their grandfather's station, I think, their father's station, a company, and just driven it into the ground. They never cut costs on their end. Somehow, even though it's a publicly traded company, they continue to keep their seats on the board. Amazing. The stock will come out. They had to do a reverse split because the stock was 60 cents. It is tanked. And they continue to cut and cut and cut and cut. And they cut last quarter and they cut this quarter. And eventually you're getting to the point where you're not going to cut anymore. You have nothing left to cut. The Fanatic right now, I believe, has 7 full-time employees that are on-air staff. 7. That might be 2 more. It might actually just be 1 more than WIP has on their morning show. Now, the Beasleys would come in and go, well, we don't want to be Odyssey because Odyssey, they filed bankruptcy. Okay, well, Odyssey's kicking your ass. And at this point, for the program director, whose name I won't even mention because I have little to no respect for the guy, when the program director will sit there and have a Zoom call because he lives 2 hours away and only pops into the office once every 3 weeks, when he talks about winning, it's as if it's the Oakland A's owner last season talking about winning with the team. Like, dude, winning what? You have 7 full-time employees. You're cutting people left and right. You're bringing back guys that are 67 years old. It's a very, very poorly run company. And at this point, it's a poorly run station. Because they basically hired Joe Girardi. The program director has an incredible resume, and it became obvious he didn't know what he was doing when he talked about how the NBA draft has 3 rounds. That's what you're dealing with. And this might sound like sour grapes to some people. I was fine when I got let go because I was miserable in what I was doing. I had never believed less in the direction of the station because of this guy. And I knew that my time was probably going to come to an end in December when my contract was up anyway, and they weren't going to re-up. The funny thing about the radio industry is it's all about how much talent you have and how much money you bring in. And how much money you bring in is 80% of whether or not you will actually keep a job or if they think they can sell you. Talent really doesn't matter. If you have connections, you will end up having a job. It's primarily about who you know and not about how good you are. And that's really it. And if you look at the talent that this station has lost over the last, let's talk about 5 years, since Beasley took over, it is astounding how much talent they've lost. John Marks leaves, go to IP, kicks Missinelli's ass for 3 years. 97.5 has a chance to bring John Marks back, and what do? No. We're not going to bring back the younger guy who kicked Missinelli's ass so badly. No. We're not going to do that. We're going to bring back Mike because we think we can sell him. Because we think we can call all of his former sponsors and we can easily get a paycheck. How's that working out? You end up losing Harry Mays. Harry Mays was one of the most beloved hosts on the station. You end up losing the other most beloved host on the station, Devon Givens, who went to PHLY. Anthony Gargano went to PHLY. You end up letting Jamie Lynch go. I can tell you firsthand, Jamie was the glue that held our morning show together. And he was a casualty cut of like, oh, we need to cut salary. Sorry, Jamie, nothing to do. Yeah, you're talented. Everybody likes you. You're good. You know what you're talking about. Cut. He ends up going to PHLY. I got let go. I won't include myself with the talent, though. Bob Cooney gets cut. You just look at the roster of people that have left the station, whether they left on their own accord or because the station decided to do more cuts, which they do seemingly every single quarter, and you could build an all-star lineup of talent. I mean, Joe DeCamera ends up leaving the Fanatic, goes to WIP, is dominating in the mornings. But the Fanatic will sit there and go, no. All we have to do is talk Eagles. That's what we were told. No, just talk Eagles. Wow. Never thought about doing that before. Talk Eagles. Huh. I was going to talk about, tennis and the WNBA, but yeah, no, Eagles talk. And that's the problem that the bosses fail to realize is Philadelphia is a city that wants comfort and stability. And you don't get that at the Fanatic, ever. They're constantly changing lineups. They're constantly firing people. And they fail to realize that when people get in their car, they're trained to do one thing, and they've been trained to do it for 30 years, and that is turn on WIP. You have to give them a reason not to. But even when you give them a reason not to, and even when you put on a good show, how long is that show lasting? Before some guy who's making six figures, who's living in Williamsport, decides, well, we got to change it up. I got to try to change things up. I'm telling you, firsthand, I am not bitter. I just hate the fact that I felt like I was an important part of that station for 13 years. I wanted the station to do good, and I still want the station to do good because I have friends over there. This is no indictment on anybody on air because I love all those people, and I'm still friends with a lot of them. But this is strictly the people that are getting paid the big bucks to drive it into the ground. And that is exactly what's happening. Whether it be from the Beasleys or an absentee dad program director who will love to remind you that, he worked at ESPN National. Cool. I mean, I could really, really roast that, but I won't. It's sad. It's sad what's become because the Fanatic had a winning lineup and a winning formula. And it's not just this program director, but previous program directors who I actually all had a really good relationship with. But they all failed to put the right lineup together, and the talent was clearly there. And it was frustrating for me because it's you guys can't see the forest of the trees here. Think about this. They won it, and it would fail, and now we see what's happened where you've got a skeleton crew running things, and it's the Titanic. Everybody seems to recognize it, and no one realized that, the iceberg hit. And it's sad because I want the station to do good. I specifically, as an intern, joined 97.5 because I thought it was the young upstart station that could compete with WIP. And for a while it was, and I loved my time there. But when it became obvious, and a lot of it was post-Beasley, but when it became obvious that they weren't really interested in winning ratings at all, then it was what are we doing here? And then it got even worse and worse and worse and worse. Because what people fail to realize is even if you're not necessarily winning in the ratings, you can still sell some of these people. And the Fanatic was making money. MMR makes a ton of money. The Philadelphia cluster makes money. The problem is it's places like Charlotte don't. Places like Detroit, I don't know how they're doing, but I doubt it's great. So that's one of the issues. And when you constantly are having turnover, it's tough. It's a tough sell. So if you ever wonder, why did the Fanatic let this guy go and not this guy who everybody can't stand, or this guy who I don't like, or whatever, it's usually just a strictly money thing. Can they sell him? Does the sales department really have the effort in them to sell him? Because sometimes it does take effort to actually go out there and be oh, hey, this guy's great. Here's the reasons why, as opposed to, oh, hey, here's a name. It's sad. It really is. I feel for Tyrone. Tyrone deserved better. I did a show with Tyrone that nobody listened to, but we had a good time. And him getting let go is no indictment of his talent. It's an indictment of the company. The company will tell you it's an indictment of the industry. No, it's look in the mirror. I can tell you right now, the Beasleys are not ordering the cheap Uber carpools. They're not flying coach. They're not flying Frontier. If they do a tour of Italy, it's not me and you doing a tour of Italy, which is at the Olive Garden, where we get chicken parm, pasta primavera, and some fettuccine. They do a tour of Italy, and it's Athens, which is Greece. So hit thumbs down for that. But it's sad, and I hate it. And that station is not going to end up doing well until they actually get an actual program director in there who is in the building every day and realizes like what Philadelphia sports is all about. And this guy is just not it. He likes baseball. But other than that, I don't really have a ton of respect for him. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that when I got let go, never heard from him. I was let go by the big boss. And I was fine with it once again, but I think it's kind of a piece of shit move to let your longest tenured employee go and you don't even reach out. But once again, we didn't have I don't think we had a great working relationship. I think he treated me like I was a 22-year-old who was supposed to be happy to be there, and it was like, dude, I've been in this industry a little bit. I know what this is. I know what you're doing to me. And he would try to gaslight me like crazy. So I kind of have a vendetta against that guy. Everybody else, though, in that building, I have a great relationship with still. I know some people will see this and probably reach out and text me about it and whatever. Some people will say, you shouldn't be burning a bridge. That's how we started this out. I'll say this guy is old, and even if I burn a bridge for 3 years, oh well. He's not the future of the industry. He is so far the past. And as far as the Beasleys burning a bridge with them, it's only a matter of time before they sell. They're going to go bankrupt. They're going to end up selling their father's company. And you're going to have Roman Roy sitting in a hotel lobby wondering, where do I go from here? Because they don't have a clue. And trust me, I could give you many, many examples. I did a whole TikTok on this when they let people go last October, and I had people reaching out from Beasley stations that I did not know. I mean, Beasley stations around the country are like, hey, just let you know, like, this is circulating in our little cluster. Like, we love it. They can't voice that, obviously, because they're worried about their jobs. Everybody needs to eat. Everybody's got bills to pay. But it is a horribly run company. They don't know what they're doing. And that is why you have a situation like you did with Tyrone being let go when he didn't deserve it. So I'll get off my soapbox now. It's unfortunate. I really do want that station to do well, but it's tough when you know that it won't. And you know that it won't because of the people in charge. Because it's a good old boys network, and, well, I mean, this was my buddy from 20 years ago, so I'm going to bring him in to be the program director. And okay, yeah, sure that'll do well. It's not doing well. And I feel like the scene from Remember the Titans, I'll end with this. But I feel like the scene from Remember the Titans where it's post game, they want to go out to eat, and Sunshine wants to go into the bar, and PD goes, no, we shouldn't go in there, man. And Sunshine's like, no, I'll be fine. And they go in there, and even though the bar is empty, the bar owner's racist, and he says, no, we're not serving your kind. And Sunshine's all shocked, and he goes, oh, I'm sorry, man, I didn't know. And PD's like, how did you not know? How did you not? I told you. The Fanatic failing is me sitting there going, how did you not know? How in the world did you not figure out that this would not work? Yeah. So in future reference, if you're looking for a guy to run a station, probably don't hire somebody that's only going to be there 3 times a month, maybe, and lives 2 hours away. I'll end on that. Hey, go Birds.